Imagine, for a second, a man so incredibly wealthy that just one act of generosity could completely upend the economy of an entire region for more than a decade. Now, this isn't some myth or legend. This is the real story of Mansa Musa, an emperor whose fortune was, and honestly still is, almost impossible to even wrap your head around.
To really get a handle on Mansa Musa, you first have to understand the land he came from. Early Arab geographers wrote about West Africa like it was a fantasy land. To them, it was this mysterious place where gold was literally as common as carrots, just waiting to be picked. A place of almost unbelievable wealth.
Okay, so if West Africa was the source of all this legendary treasure, who was the man powerful enough to control it, to take that wealth and project it onto the world stage? Well, that man was Musa Keita I, but we know him as Mansa Musa, the 10th emperor of the incredible Mali Empire. The famous historian Ibn Khaldun said that under his rule, Mali became the greatest power in the Western Sudan. We're not just talking about an empire here. This was a global economic superpower of its time. So how did an empire get so rich it could literally break economies? I mean, really, how does that happen? Well, it wasn't just luck. It was a brilliant, systematic economic engine designed to funnel the region's vast wealth directly to the throne. The secret ingredient was control. Absolute control. The Mali Empire sat right at the crossroads of these vital trans-Saharan trade routes. Caravans like these were the lifeblood of commerce, and pretty much everything that flowed through them made the empire richer and richer. Now, this slide right here shows just how clever their system was. It wasn't just about having gold mines. It was about taxing the entire flow of trade. You see, they taxed crucial goods like salt at every single point. But check this out. The real genius was charging double the tax for salt leaving the empire. And the masterstroke? By keeping all the gold nuggets for himself, Mansa Musa made sure the purest form of wealth went straight into the royal treasury. So having all this wealth is one thing, but showing it off to the world? That's something else entirely. In 1324, Mansa Musa set out on the Hajj, the traditional pilgrimage to Mecca. But believe me, this was no ordinary spiritual journey. This was a statement to the entire world. The scale of this thing was just breathtaking. Try to picture it, a moving city of 60,000 men with 12,000 slaves and dozens of camels, each one carrying tons of pure gold, all marching across the Sahara Desert. So when this massive procession finally arrived outside Cairo, one of the most powerful cities in the world at the time, people were just speechless. And this little incident perfectly illustrates his power. When he got to Cairo, he was expected to visit the Sultan, but there was a catch. Protocol said he had to kiss the ground, and this incredibly powerful emperor was just not going to do that for any man. So you had this tense diplomatic standoff. His solution was a total masterclass in diplomacy. He eventually met the Sultan, but instead of bowing to him, he bowed as if in prayer and declared, "I make obeisance to God, who created me." With one simple move, he showed respect not to a mortal king, but to God alone, perfectly preserving his piety and his own royal authority. His generosity in cities like Cairo became legendary. I mean, he gave away so much gold that he flooded the market, completely crashing its value for more than a decade. And after making that incredible display of worldly power, he finally completed the spiritual quest that started it all, right here at the Kaaba in Mecca. But Mansa Musa's story isn't just about spending gold. It's about what he built with it. He came back from his pilgrimage with this grand vision to transform his immense wealth into a cultural and intellectual legacy that would last for centuries. And the centerpiece of this whole vision was the city of Timbuktu. Now, it was already a key trading hub, but Mansa Musa was determined to turn it into one of the world's great centers of learning and faith, a true city of golden wisdom. He didn't just come back with souvenirs, he came back with talent. He recruited the best minds he could find, like the architect al-Sahili, who brought a completely new style to West Africa. He funded these huge projects, including the now famous Sankore Mosque, and established libraries and universities that turned Timbuktu into a magnet for scholars all across the Islamic world. So this really brings us to the core of his story. Was Mansa Musa's greatness really about the gold he gave away? Or was it about the knowledge and the culture that he built? When you lay it out like this, the difference is pretty stark. You've got the gold, the taxes, the trade monopolies, all of that is temporary power, right? But the universities, the architecture, the global reputation for learning, that was an investment in a legacy of knowledge that would last. It proved to the world that West Africa was a center of great civilization.
And let's not forget just how massive that temporary wealth was. While it's pretty much impossible to calculate an exact number, modern economists estimate his fortune would be worth over $400 billion today. To give you some perspective, that is way more than any single person has on the planet right now. It's not even close.
So, in the end, we're left with this question. Mansa Musa's story really reminds us that wealth, well, it doesn't mean much without a purpose. His gold made him a legend, and it destabilized economies, sure, but it was his investment in people, in faith, and in knowledge that truly built a golden age for his civilization and cemented his incredible legacy forever.